Welcome to ChrisCast episode 35, the in-between days, when neither Biden nor Trump are in possession of the presidency. The liminal times, the in-between days, the void, the limbo. And we'll talk about that right after the ad space. Welcome back to episode 35, season 1 of ChrisCast. My name is Chris Abraham, and as you know, I don't make any notes for this. I spent a lot of time asking Alexa and Google for answers, and they give me bizarre answers, but they often give me good answers.
Here's an answer from Google.
100 power. In decimal notation, it is written as 1 followed by 100 zeros. It would take about 3.171 times 10 to the power of 92 years to count to a Google if you counted up one number per second.
Sweet. She's telling me what a Google is, which is what the name Google came from, except for Google is spelled differently than Google. So they're just homonyms, if that's the right word. So we're in the in-between place. We're hunting for 270 electoral college votes, but I think that Biden has 243, I think, and Trump has 214. And so we're in this in-between space, and it is funny. And the reason why I say it's funny is because, oh man, both sides really thought that this was going to be a wave, that this was going to be an obvious win. The left was convinced that this was going to be the most humiliating election in the entire history of humiliating elections. I think that might be, I don't know who it was. I'm sure the election between Carter and Reagan was pretty bad. Hey, Google, what percentage of the election did Reagan get in 1980? She doesn't know. Alexa, by how much did Ronald Reagan win the 1980 election?
I'm not sure who'll win, but I can give you an update about the election. Just ask, what's my election update?
That's interesting. What's my election update?
I don't see any new stories about most watched right now.
Alexa, give me election update.
From Amazon Alexa, here's your election update. In the U.S. presidential election, Joe Biden is leading with 264 electoral votes and 50.4% of the popular vote, while Donald Trump has 214 electoral votes and 48% of the vote. 91.6% of precincts are reporting. With 4 races left to be called in the Senate and 41 races left to be called in the House, Democrats have secured 48 seats in the Senate and 204 seats in the House, while Republicans have secured 48 seats in the Senate and 190 seats in the House. The 2020 Senate special election in Georgia resulted in a runoff election that will take place next January between candidates Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock. Election results are sourced from the Associated Press.
Wow, that's really interesting. Anyway, that's sort of what I told you a second ago, but not everybody's following the Associated Press numbers. So 243 is what I think it was telling me on Facebook. A lot of because of the 2000 election and the hanging chads, a lot of people are being extremely careful because they humiliated themselves before, back in 2000 and back in 2016. So the reason why I knew it was going to be a nail biter is because both sides were equally confident that it was going to be an avalanche for their side, that they were going to that the Americans were so indignant from the 250,000 people that Pol Pot Trump killed, and the terrible response and the destruction of the economy, and how embarrassing Trump is to foreign countries. And by the way, hey Google, what percentage of Americans have their passport?
42%. On the website ntacourier.com, they say, according to recent data compiled by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Consular Affairs, more than 42% of U.S. citizens have a valid passport.
Hey Google, what percentage of Americans have left the United States?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Alexa, what percentage of Americans have left the United States?
Here's something I found on the web. According to pewresearch.org, the median positive approval of the United States and Pakistan in 13 surveys since 2002 has been a mere 15%.
No. Hey Google, what percentage of Americans have traveled outside of the United States?
Here's a summary from the website skift.com. 45%, or 41.8 million, flew to overseas destinations, 9% more than in 2018.
Wow, okay, well, that's pretty good, right? 45% have passports, 45% have traveled outside the United States. So,
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Thanks. That said, so majority of America doesn't care how they're perceived outside the United States. I guarantee you that a majority of Americans don't think about anything more than maybe Canada when it comes to hockey, and Mexico when it comes to this conservative obsession about illegal immigrants. So this belief that there's going to be some sort of Latinx flood from Central and South America and Mexico. So they don't even think about how anybody except maybe Putin and maybe Assad, or maybe Iran, any of our axis of evil enemies. Nobody cares, and frankly, they don't care what Putin or Assad thinks about us. So that crippling feeling that you have when you jet off to Banff or jet off to Geneva, or have your yearly spring visit with your spouse to Paris, or Tuscany or Nice or Cannes. Nobody cares about that, right? Nobody cares that it's embarrassing, and that when you're in Amsterdam with all your Amsterdam friends, or when you visit all of your friends who have expatriated to Berlin, nobody cares that Angela Merkel thinks that Donald Trump is a moron. Or how could you stand it? Like this constant feeling of hackles up existential crisis. I would say 100 minus 45 is the number of Americans who probably don't believe that a vaccine will work, probably won't get a coronavirus COVID-19 vaccine ever, are anti-vaxxers now, believe that that the coasts are full of ninnies and that they live in a free state, would choose their gun over democracy any day, spend every Sunday and their Sunday's best at church praying to a Lord, not pretending to pray. Like, I don't think a majority of Americans, at least 100 minus 45, I don't believe that they go to church out of virtue signaling. I think that most people of faith are not trying to fool you, like some sort of theosophist or spiritualist who is trying to fool you when they read your tea leaves or read your palms or do your numbers or read your cards, your tarot, etc. I believe that these are earnest, God-loving people. I believe that they are afraid that there's going to be, they're honestly in their bones, they're convinced that the United Nations is going to parachute in like Red Dawn and try to take over the nation, and in a federalism, in a federation, if you will, not unlike Star Trek. Nobody talks about the civil wars and the world wars and the violent protests and the revolutionary defenses that were required in order to federate America and have America federate to the point where it would join the Federation and become a happy, glad, red shirt wearing member of a space race. There was blood spilled in the transition from nation state America, nation state countries in the all over the globe. And don't forget, nation states are a relatively recent happening within the last 500 years. So, before that, there were fiefdoms, there were monarchies, there were tribes, there were even when it comes down to very recently, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was an empire. It wasn't a nation state. It was an attempt by the Soviet Union to dismantle nation states and return to empires. This isn't that far in the past. So it's been very much so as a result of Western influence in the world. This desire to cut borders that are defended by guns that are recognized by National Geographic. It's a modern eccentricity. It's a modern convenience, and it's not always what people want. I know that that Great Britain spent a lot of its time in a noblesse oblige and a noble obligation and a paternalism, drawing national lines throughout the Middle East and throughout basically Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh are all the result of a bunch of Brits deciding where countries would be defined based on where their self-selecting religious and cultural beliefs are, right? So it's important to remember that. Anyway, so as we move towards a future where there's a desire to dismantle these walls, if you will, dismantle nation states, turn, I guess, what's an example? I don't know, but the reintegration, I guess, of Germany is a good example. I don't know. I'm not. If I were Agent K, I would know. My military and world history genius friend, but I don't know. And all I know is that there are a lot more people who do not have your do not have your urbane sensibilities, who do not see Trump as a despot, who do not see him at all as an authoritarian. I keep on snarkily everywhere showing how terrible a despot is, how terrible an authoritarian he is. Let's see. Let's try that again. Hey, Google, how many people was Saddam Hussein accused of murdering?
Here's a summary from the website en.wikipedia.org. The total number of deaths related to torture and murder during this period is unknown, but estimated to be around 250,000 according to Human Rights Watch.
So basically, Donald Trump, since he did murder 250,000 people with COVID, is equivalent to Saddam Hussein. Okay, let's see. Hey, Google, how many people was Syria's Assad accused of murdering?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hey, Google, how many people did Pol Pot kill?
7 million people. Here's a summary from the website nytimes.com. Pol Pot conducted a rule of terror that led to the deaths of nearly a quarter of Cambodia's 7 million people.
Okay. Hey, Google, how many people were killed by in North Korea?
My apologies, I don't understand.
Hey, Google, how many people was Kim Jong-il accused of killing?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hey, Google, how many people did Stalin kill?
On the website nybooks.com, they say, the total figure for the entire Stalinist period is likely between 2 million and 3 million. The Great Terror and other shooting actions killed no more than 1 million people, probably a bit less.
Hey, Google, how many people died during the Chinese Cultural Revolution?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things you can try.
Hey, Google, how many people did Chairman Mao kill?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things you can try.
Ooh, I'm going to love that conspiracy theory that China scrubbed Google of all of its negative stuff. Alexa, how many people died during the Chinese Cultural Revolution under Chairman Mao?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, official Chinese sources, released after Mao's death, suggest that 16.5 million people died in the Great Leap Forward.
How many people will die in this alleged Great Leap Forward, according to the conservatives in America? There's this phrase going around all over the world called Build Back Better and the Great Reset. And the conservatives in America have really latched onto this and very much believe that the world is going to be reset. So how many people are going to die during that grand reset? Dum, dum, dum. So as a result, the people who vote for Donald Trump, and it's a broad base, it's not narrow as you see from this lack of giant blue wave.
The election for President of the United States is underway. As of November 5th at 3 a.m. Eastern, Joe Biden is leading with 264 electoral votes and 50% of the vote. Donald Trump is behind with 214 electoral votes and 48% of the vote.
I got to tell you, man, she's a real good sidekick, but sometimes she just jumps in when I'm not prepared. So yeah, that's what's going on. There's a strong belief that Donald Trump is just a regular president who has been under attack since the very moment he was democratically elected. And by democratically elected, I mean he was elected through America's Republic Electoral College. You know, I keep on reminding everybody that America, the United States, is more like the European Union, where every...
Sorry, this device lost its connection.
She doesn't want to hear what I have to say. She's delicate like that. Anyway, so as I was saying, there's a belief that no president could in any way move forward when you have such a strong resistance from the very moment. I was listening to a lot of podcasts yesterday where people, in this case women, but I'm not going to focus on gender, were really, I mean, they've been traumatized every single moment of every single day. And it's not even what you'd think. And I'll tell you what they were saying right after the pause. All right, welcome back, episode 35, season 1 of Chris Cast. My name's Chris Abraham. I actually took that break so I could look up the podcast that I was listening to. It is called Stuff Mom Never Told You, and the episode is Election Stress Disorder. And it's pretty interesting.
Geico presents Left Brain.
And these two ladies are basically talking about all the, not only is there the trauma of a media-fed and social media-fed diet of he's going to kill all the Jews, all the blacks, all the gays, all the trans people, everybody from LGBTQ, anybody who's an immigrant. I mean, kill, like literally kill. All the babies of immigrants, put everybody in cages. He's going to start a pogrom, or he's going to do he's going to put everybody in ghettos, or I don't know. Okay, that's just the first level. Second level is directly related to Greta and AOC's concept of the Green New Deal, and that Garens Ball Barons, America is going to have in 11.7 years, there's going to be a global collapse, and it'll all be Donald Trump's fault because he pulled out from the Paris Accords, the Tokyo Accords, whatever accords had to do with the environment. He pulled out. He pulled out from those accords publicly. The entire world trumpets it, but nobody mentions that Canada did too, right? Canada is basically the Hunter Biden of North America, right? He's the least obvious person, but he's just as corrupt. But people don't really view him that way. Or, hey Google, what's the current president of Canada?
On the website pm.gc.ca, they say, Justin Trudeau is Canada's 23rd Prime Minister.
Wow, Justin Trudeau is 1 year younger than me. Anyway, Justin Trudeau is freaking beautiful. I mean, what a stud, right? But he also has pictures of him in blackface. So basically, Canada is exactly like Justin Trudeau. He is a beautiful looking person. He's Canada's Obama. He's beautiful. He's well spoken. The ladies love him. He's charming. Nobody would be embarrassed to take him home to mother. Nobody would be embarrassed to take him home to grandmama. Anybody from beer drinker all the way to fancy castle owners would be embarrassed by his presence. He would adapt to French and English equally. But still, dude in blackface, right? He's that guy. So, what was even my point? Oh yeah, Canada pulled out of the Accords. They make all of their vast wealth. They are an extremely wealthy country. They are North America's Norway, and it's based on all the dirty, dirty, dirty things that Biden and Harris promised that are going to be exorcised from America in the next 11 years, which includes lumber, natural gas, oil, sand, whatever, sandy gas. Hey Google, what kind of oil is found in sand?
Crude bitumen. On the
Crude
website
bitumen.
Wikipedia.com,
Tar
they say
sands.
oil sands, or tar sands, are sand and rock material that contain crude bitumen, a dense, viscous form of crude oil.
That's what you frack, so extraction methods are necessary. So, I like crude bitumen. That's going to be the name in one of my characters, crude bitumen. Anyway, yeah, so they backed off too. They backed out too, but nobody talks about that. Canada is understands, like Canada wink wink, right? Canada wink wink. So here we are. We're back to this. There's these women, these two friends from Stuff Mom Never Told You, election stress disorder. They not only are they dealing with existential crises, not only do they have Trump derangement syndrome based on the fact that this election is literally the most important election in history. Trump is literally the worst person in history. Trump is literally Hitler. All these things. And add to that, because these women were very honest about their feelings, and if I sound like I'm being dismissive, I'm not. I'm surprised, amazed, and feeling a little bit shitty, a lot shitty, that I am being so blustery, and we'll talk about that in another episode, because I'm the worst. But they also said that that Donald Trump activated deep traumas of sexual abuse, physical abuse, rape, incest, feelings of even if they weren't raped, which is a Hey Google, what percentage of women have been sexually assaulted?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things you can try.
Alexa, what percentage of women have been sexually assaulted?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Well, I'll be back right after this note. Welcome back. Sorry, there was a phone call. This is Chris Abraham, episode 35 of Chris Cast. So it brought up all this stuff from them. The fact that Trump is, and I think everybody will admit it, an extremely, well, listen, I guess I'm a toxic male. I guess anybody who walks through life completely confidently and, brusquely. I mean, I don't fancy myself a toxic male, but I think that after an open exploration of the women I've dated in the last 30 years, I would say that I'm not the person in the mirror that I thought I was, right? I think I just received an email from someone I was friends with, really close friends with. We had a website and everything. And she told me 20 years later that our little accidental affair uh, destroyed her, made her rethink her perception of men and all kinds of things that I didn't have any clue of. So apparently, being 6'3", relatively handsome white dude means that unless you expressly buy rear view and side view mirrors or have a rear view camera and keep an eye on the calamities happening behind you, you'll never know. You'll just move through life and you'll behave with all the emotions, all the responses, all the calluses, all the traumas that I carry along. I respond to the world, and people have been hurt as a result of me. I've been hurt as a result of people too. Um, but it doesn't, in 2020, it doesn't matter what my traumas are. However, in the election this year, it does matter. When I taught creative writing at Kalamazoo, at KRISA, there was a kid who was a pretty wealthy son of a car dealership, and he went on holidays and trips and had beach houses, and dad, he had a BMW, his dad had a nice Mercedes. Like, they were chock-a-block, and this was public school, so it's not as common. And he basically said, in the most honest thing in the entire world, he said, rich kids have feelings too. And it's freaking true. Entitled white supremacists have feelings. Racists have feelings. Toxic men have feelings. Trumps have feelings. Karens have feelings. Karens have traumas. Trumps have traumas. Racists have traumas. Militia groups have traumas. Anti-vaxxers have traumas and feelings and emotions and hurts. They've got walls up. They've got fears. They've got, and those people are making their decisions with their own traumas and fears and insecurities in minds. Not, even though this is the year of outsourcing your empathy and compassion to our American descendants of slavery, because Black lives do matter. If you are under a boot, or if the bank holds your mortgage, or if you're in arrears, or if you're going to be fired, or if you have been fired, or you can't make a living, or you can't send your child to college, or any of these other things, simple things, and ubiquitous things, you're going to have to return to a world where you don't care. You are going to find, you are not going to care about 11 years from now. You're not going to care about 5 years from now. You're not going to care about 1 year from now. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to vote for the person who will probably stamp out with a giant jackboot anybody in the streets who are doing anything to harm your way of living. Right? So I think that 2020, in many ways, wasn't a blue wave, because I think that there were a lot of people who were really resonating with that concept of law and order candidate, really hoping that a second term would result in enough jackboots in the street to stop any and all protests or looting. And yet, the counter argument, which is why this is a 50-50 and Biden's probably going to win, is that there's a lot of people who stand by their beliefs, or maybe just have the wealth and freedom and education and upward mobility to stand by their own beliefs. They want to fight that kind of thing. They want to fight that short-sightedness, or that aggression, or that fighting fire with fire, or that pro-Second Amendment guns are cool, or even fighting religiosity, to copy a phrase, and that's why it's a close race. That's why who knows? It might even go to Trump at the end of the day. Worse things have happened. Better things have happened. But I don't know. It's not going to be a nice little world to live in when you, if you thought the first term of a Trump presidency would be defiant, the second term of a Trump presidency would be absolutely apoplectic. It's going to turn everything up to 11. It's going to break a lot of families. It's going to break the country even more. And because neither side has received any semblance of a mandate, it'll be even worse. Welcome back. I thought I'd end it there. This is episode 35 of Chris Cast. My name's Chris Abraham. You can reach me at Chris Abraham on Twitter, at Chris Abraham on Instagram, at Chris Abraham on YouTube, at Chris Abraham on LinkedIn, at Chris Abraham. I don't know. I think I mentioned all of them. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. LinkedIn.com/in/Chris Abraham. And then Chris at Abraham.su. You can text me at +1 202 352 5051, or you can call me there, but I won't answer unless we have a date. And if you want a date, and that's +1 202 352 5051, if you want a date, you can reach me at calendly.com/ChrisAbraham/15. And if you're trying to sell me something, I probably won't take the meeting. But you can find me at chrisabraham.com. You can also use abraham.su for that. And if you are on No Agenda Social, I'm at Chris. And I think that's it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening all the way through. I know this is a bit of a rant. I know that my two digital assistants were crazy today, but they're my happy sidekicks. Hey, Google, say thank you.
Glad to chat with you. Have a nice day.
Alexa, say thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks, ladies.
Sorry, I'm having trouble. Please try in a little while.
Oh, she's having trouble. I know it's been a long podcast, and I'm sorry, and we'll try to make it shorter next time. If you go to any and sundry places you listen, wherever you listen, please give me a thumbs up, a subscribe, a like, a comment, a review, 12 stars, and all that other fun stuff. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.